Now just try to follow this. Every time you flinch at appearance, you confess it has power. Every quick intake of breath at a report of the senses is a little bow. It is a little genuflection before an idol of your own making. Please remember this point. When you jump at the twinge in the body and rush for the mirror, when you sit up at midnight to prod and press and test again, when you open the bank account 3 times a day and call it prudence, when you scrutinize the tone of a loved one's text and write a tragedy around a pause. Each of these is the same act. You are crowning the symptom. You are placing a wreath upon its head and saying, "You, not God, speak the law to me." Now, we are not talking to the world just now. We are speaking to the students, to the disciples who want principle, not luck, who want something they can count on, and not a hope that breaks when the wind changes. For you, it must be said without any softness of phrase, reaction is not neutral. Oh, no, no, no. Reaction is agreement. Agreement is allegiance. And allegiance feeds the very ghost you think you are resisting. The tremor in you is its bread. The panic is its breath. The rehearsal of its possibilities is its choir. Follow this. Appearance is not reality. The testimony of the senses is not the testimony of spirit. Actually, there is no relationship between the two. They are separate and distinct. The one is a report from a shifting surface, the weather of the human scene, while the other is the fact of being, unaltered by seasons, untouched by so-called conditions. When you treat a report as a decree, you have mistaken weather for climate, ripple for ocean, shadow for substance. And in that mistake, you confer authority where there is none. Please remember, the instant you flinch, you are saying, "I accept you as cause." In the kingdom of consciousness, there is only one cause, only one law, only one presence. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. If you tremble before a symptom, you have, in that moment, made a second presence, a rival, and then you will wonder why your prayers stutter. Can we really doubt the outcome when we enthrone a rival in our own awareness, and then ask God to unseat it? My friends, that is divided allegiance. Now then, let us be very clear. We are not condemning you for the first startled blink. Human habit has trained it in. We are instructing you that the blink must not become a bow. The instant you feel the tug to react, remember who speaks law in you. Withdraw the curtsy. Stand still. Recognize that what presented itself is not an authority, but an appearance, and that it bears no relationship, none, to the I that am, to the life that is God being itself as you. Begin here, at this uncompromising distinction, and you will have placed your feet upon the path where peace is first and outer harmony follows like a tide returning to its shore. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. The appearance shouts, and you look back at it. In that instant, you tie a thread from your awareness to that picture, and every subsequent look tightens the knot. Please remember, attention is not a passive gaze, it is a current, it is consent. The more intently you watch, the more reality you lend. You think you are keeping an eye on it as a form of prudence. Oh, no, no, no. You are feeding it. Fear acts as a magnifying glass. It concentrates, and what it concentrates upon seems to grow, not because it has substance, but because you have pooled the light of your awareness on a shadow until the wall looks dark. Follow this. A momentary sensation is like a ripple on the surface. Left alone, it subsides. Observe what the human mind does. It makes a life out of a moment. It takes the ripple and fashions a story. This always happens to me. Then the story becomes a schedule. It comes every evening. Watch, it will be here by 5. And then the schedule becomes an identity. I am the one with this. Oh, no, no, no. Do not say, I have this, and then expect to be free of it. That is divided consciousness. You cannot nail a nameplate to your door and then complain of visitors answering to that name. With your own words, you permit the parade. With your own rehearsal, you provide the marching band. Now then, please remember, we are not diagnosing matter. We are not taking thought for the body or for conditions. Actually, there is no relationship between spiritual realization and the reports of sense. They are separate and distinct. We are exposing only the belief power we ourselves have lent to appearances. We have sat as magistrates and stamped them with our seal. We have renewed their visa each morning with our checking, our measuring, our mental court dates. And then, we wonder why they continue to present themselves as citizens of our consciousness. My friends, with what measure ye meet, it is measured to you. By the measure of your attention, you meet them presence. Let us be very gentle, but very exact. This is not blame. This is responsibility. Please remember this. If we have empowered these fears, then we can withdraw that power. If we have funded the ghost with our stare, we can cut off the allowance. How? By refusing the contract of reactivity and returning to the realized fact. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. In the quiet recognition of the one presence, attention relaxes its grip, fear loses its fuel, and what seemed continuous breaks up like mist in the noonday sun. The continuity you thought belonged to the symptom was only the continuity of your gaze. Release the gaze, and you will discover there is only the unbroken continuity of God being, the peace that is before, during, and after any report. Rest there. Let peace be first, let outer harmony follow. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. There are not 3 or 5 places from which law can come into your experience. There are 2, and they are not related. One is the realm of testimony. This is happening. This is how it feels. This is what the figures say. The changing weather of sense. The other is the realm of being. God is. That is all. Actually, there is no relationship between the two. They are entirely separate and distinct, like shadow and sun. The shadow has no power to alter the sun, and the sun never consults the shadow to know if it is shining. Please remember this. Spiritual work, then, is not a clever form of positive thinking about matter. Oh, no, no, no. We are not varnishing the report of sense with optimistic phrases. We are refusing to treat the report of sense as final authority. We are declining its throne. To deny authority is not to deny that a report has presented itself. It is to deny that it carries law. I hear you, but you do not legislate my being. That is the posture. That is the practice. Now then, this brings us to the unavoidable point at which many falter, because they wish to keep a foot in each realm. You cannot. One must make a choice of one or the other. You cannot hold the symptom as power and hold God as omnipresence at the same time. That is divided allegiance, and divided allegiance is self-contradiction. It is like trying to row upstream while anchoring to the bank. You exhaust yourself and suppose the river is strong, when in truth, your own divided tack binds you. Do not misunderstand choice. I am not speaking of outer performance, what you take or do not take, what you say or do not say before men. I am speaking of inner allegiance. Where do you stand in consciousness? What do you revere as cause? What do you trust when alone, when the lights are off, when the body whispers? That is the choice. It is invisible. It is secret. And it is absolute. But I feel it, you say. Yes, sensation may cry. Thought may deliver its practiced verdicts. Please remember, feeling is not authority. It is a wind at the window. It is not the stone of your foundation. If God is, how can feeling be law? If being is omnipresent, how can a wave dictate to the ocean? Do not let a momentary ripple write your constitution. Stand still, silently, where the I that am rests before sensation arises, and there let the verdict be pronounced. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. When you make this choice, not once, but as a way of living, you will notice something wondrous. Peace arrives first, often without any announcement to the senses. And as you refuse to return to the tribunal of appearance, as you keep allegiance single, harmony shows itself outwardly in its own order, without strain, without battle. Choose the realm. Choose the authority. Abide there. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. Never believe that God heals disease. In that way you dishonor God. Oh, no, no, no. God is not a mechanic of matter, not a celestial surgeon summoned to mend a tear in flesh, not a stronger power brought in to wrestle a weaker. Please remember, the moment you conceive of God as a power over error, you have made error a power first. You have granted it status in the court, and then invited God to argue the case. Actually, there is no relationship between the two. Spirit does not descend into matter to correct it. Spirit reveals itself, and in that light, the mask called error is seen as no thing. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Follow this. God does not give you health. God is health. God does not send peace. God is peace. God does not deliver life as an object. God is the life that is being itself as you. When you grasp this, not as a phrase, but as realized presence, you cease calling upon a distant aid and begin resting in the only presence there is. Be still and know that I am God. Not, be frantic and get God to adjust your picture. The adjustment occurs, yes, but not as a manipulation of pictures. It occurs because the canvas you were staring at so intently fades in the light of I. Now then, bring it home. You say, I have anxiety, God, remove it. Or, there's pain, there is inflammation, there is fear. God, take it away. Please remember, in that very breath, you have enthroned the condition as law, and asked God to be your better law. That is two powers, and two powers will not yield peace. You are not trying to get God to remove anxiety. You are realizing God as peace. You are not trying to persuade God to quiet pain. You are realizing God as the only life present, whole and indivisible. And as that realization dawns, not as emotion, not as wish, but as silent fact, the storm in the mind loses its center because the mind is no longer its host. Symptom reactivity blocks this because it keeps the stage set for a contest. You look, you measure, you fear, and then you pray. Oh, see the contradiction. You bow first, and then ask to be lifted. You cannot kneel to appearance and in the same breath declare one presence. One must make a choice of one or the other. Rest in the one, and the so-called other dissolves as a dream at waking. What then is our simple practice? Not magic words, not auto-suggestion, not a charm. Only a returning, a quiet, insistent returning to the fact of being. God is, God is, God is. Let it not be a spell, but a door you re-enter, a settling into what already is. In that stillness, without argument, peace announces itself. Sometimes so gently you might miss it if you were hunting symptoms. And, resting in that peace, the body, the affairs, the relationships assume their proper harmony in their own order. Not by law of matter, but by grace of spirit. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. In the very instant the symptom shouts, when the body jolts, when the mind races to write tomorrow's headline, there is a razor-thin space before you sign your name to that story. Your first work is in that space. Pause. Please remember this point. Do not complete the narrative. Do not supply an instant diagnosis. Do not forecast. Do not consult yesterday's calendar of fears. Refuse the reflex. Let the sentence in your head stop before the period. That break is sacred. It is the door through which you step out of reaction and into reality. Now then, what do you do in that pause? Relax. Relax both mentally and physically in the assurance that here and now, God is. Not in a minute, not when the symptom changes. Here and now, God is. Allow the shoulders to drop if they will. Let the breath find its own rhythm. Oh yes, but more than that. Let thought unclench from the picture. You are not taking thought for the body. You are not bargaining with an appearance. Actually, there is no relationship between the shout of sense and the fact of spirit. They are separate and distinct. You are resting in the fact. Then make the pivot that ends the contest. Stop asking, what is this symptom doing? Where is it going? What does it mean? And turn, silently, to what is God being right here? Peace, presence, life. Not in nerves, not in blood, not in organs. Oh, no, no, no. Our life is in God. Our substance is spirit. Our law is the I that am. Please remember, when you ask what God is being, you are not trying to get God to become something. You are recognizing what is. You may, if it helps to steady the mind, use a short sequence, spoken softly within yourself, not to plead but to remember. I acknowledge a picture has presented itself. I deny it authority. You have no law over God being. Here and now, God is the only presence, the only power, the only life. I rest. Then rest. Do not hurry to see if it worked. Do not peek at the picture to take its temperature. The peeking is the tax that keeps the kingdom of appearance funded. Withdraw the tax. Stay very quiet, even if only for a minute, until you feel the edge of fear loosen, until peace is at least the size of a mustard seed. That peace is the beginning of the healing. That peace is the healing. Now follow this. You are not performing a technique upon a symptom. You are abiding in being until the mind ceases to host arrival. When the shout rises again, as it may, Repeat the same holy sequence. Pause. Refuse the narrative. Relax into omnipresence. Ask only what God is being. Affirm and rest. My friends, keep it simple. Keep it secret. Keep it single. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. And as you abide there, peace first, the outer will find its harmony in its own order. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. A single refusal to react in the crisis is holy, yes, but the symptom is often kept on a stipend by our daily habits. Please remember this point. Constant scanning, feeling for the tender spot every hour, hunting mirrors and angles in the bathroom light, pressing and prodding to see how it's doing. That is tribute. Late-night searches, page after page of prognoses, forums where fear quotes fear, videos that specialize in dread. That is tribute. Repeatedly asking, "Do I look okay? Do you think it's worse? Should I be worried?" Turning friends and family into priests of an altar to appearance. That is tribute. Remeasuring, reweighing, retesting numbers out of season, keeping a spreadsheet of worry. That too is tribute. Oh, no, no, no. Do not call this prudence. It is worship. You are lighting incense before a shadow. Now then, I am not speaking of ordinary, calm practicality. If an appointment has been made, keep it without drama. If a measurement belongs to the simple order of the day, take it once and be done. But please remember, disciples, we do not stalk error to see if it is gone. We do not go hunting for a ghost with a lamp and then gasp that the room looks haunted. Actually, there is no relationship between spiritual realization and the surveillance of sense. They are separate and distinct. Either spirit is the only presence and power, or the symptom is waiting to ambush you if you stop looking. One must make a choice of one or the other. Withdraw the daily tribute. How, you ask? By replacement attention. When the mind reaches for the phone to search, let the hand be still and the heart speak, "My peace, my peace." When the impulse rises to ask another opinion, turn within and whisper, "Be still and know that I am God." When you want to measure again, measure only this. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Let a line of a psalm cross the threshold of thought. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Or only the name, I. Let these not be charms to make pictures behave. Let them be doors back into presence. 5 seconds is enough to break the habit. 30 seconds strengthens it. 2 minutes anchors it. And if, after the communion, the old hand twitches again, repeat the sacred economy. Refuse the check. Choose the peace. Please remember, attention is the lifeblood of appearance. Cut off the allowance, and you will find the picture thinning. Better, train attention into principle, and you will find peace thickening, widening, lengthening its stay until it is not a visitor, but the household. Continuity of harmony does not come by chance or by periods of emergency praying. It comes when attention is steadily educated to revere cause instead of effect. Day after day, hour by hour, moment by moment, we practice this single discipline. No surveillance, only communion. My friends, stop paying the symptom with your gaze. Pay God with your remembrance. Abide there. Peace first, and the outer will find its harmony in its own order. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. There is a power that the world does not believe in because it does not make a sound. It is the power of secrecy. Enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Please remember this point. Cease broadcasting your troubles. Stop narrating the symptom until it becomes your surname. Do not turn your social circle into a hospital ward. Oh, no, no, no. Every time you recite the saga to another ear, you engrave the appearance a little deeper into your own thought. You think you are relieving pressure, but you are recruiting witnesses. You are building a congregation for a false god. Now then, why secrecy? Because public repetition re-solidifies the picture. Sympathy becomes fuel. Drama feeds identity. The ego is cleverly nourished by the role of the afflicted, or even by the spiritual performer who trumpets, "I am working on this metaphysically." Please remember, the work is not for display. Actually, there is no relationship between your outer reports and inner realization. They are entirely separate and distinct. The world wants updates. The disciple abides in silence. The world wants to vote on your condition. The disciple withdraws the ballot box. Every human opinion you gather, even sweet and well-meaning, is another thread tying you to the scene you are trying to transcend. Do not misunderstand bottling up. We are not speaking of repression, of corking fear so it ferments in the dark. Oh no. We are speaking of containment within God. Keep your troubles bottled inside your communion so that the Father can see them and know them. Let God be the confessor of your fear, not a string of acquaintances. When the impulse rises to tell someone, "Let me just explain what I felt last night," stop at the threshold and turn within. Thy grace is sufficient. Not my story, thy grace. Not their verdict, thy presence. In that very turn, you move the problem out of the marketplace and into the sanctuary, where opinion falls silent and the law of spirit is all. Now practice. Set a daily period for the closet. Choose a time, morning before the world begins its parade, and evening when the house is quiet. Shut the door. No phone, no symptom talk even in your own thought. Sit down, gently, and let one sentence be enough to center you. Be still and know that I am God. Or this, thy grace is sufficient for me. Or only, God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. We are not asking, we are not pleading, we are not bargaining. We are recognizing. 5 minutes to begin, then 10, then 15 as grace draws you. If fear rises, do not rehearse it. Lay it like a leaf in the river of I, and watch it go without comment. Keep the appointment. Keep it secret. Tell no one that you are doing this. Parade it before no audience. Your Father sees. And watch the pattern. The first change is not in the picture, but in the peace. Something quiet takes the center. My peace. My peace. Resting in that peace, the body resumes its normal functions. The nerves lose their tail. Affairs take their rightful order. The reward is open, but the cause remains secret. Do not spoil it by running to measure, to testify prematurely, to feed the old hunger for attention. Please remember, secrecy removes the ego's hand from the instrument so that grace may play. We as disciples are content to let the Father see in secret, and to let harmony appear in its own order. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. Many of you have had that merciful lift in an emergency. The storm screams, you turn within, peace steals in, and the picture softens. Then, 2 days later, it knocks again, and you say, "Why did it come back?" Please remember this point. It did not come back as punishment, and God did not withdraw grace to test you. Oh, no, no, no. What returned was the old habit of reaction because it was never replaced with a new law of living. A crisis turned to God interrupted the pattern for a moment. It did not yet establish a principle. Actually, there is no relationship between a momentary uplift of emotion and the stable understanding of spirit. They are entirely separate and distinct. Follow this. Relief is weather. Principle is climate. Relief cools the forehead. Principle changes the atmosphere in which you breathe. We thank God for relief, but we do not mistake it for mastery. When you come to spiritual healing, it must be something you can count on, not count on sometimes, not count on if the wind is favorable, but count on as you count on sunrise, not because you deserve it emotionally, but because you have planted your awareness in law. One presence, one power, one life. Now then, how do you measure progress? Not by, did the symptom vanish today? That metric keeps you tied to the dial of appearance. Please remember, we are not trying to be good believers. We are learning spiritual law. Ask instead, did I remain in peace? Did I keep my inner seat when the knock sounded? Did I refuse the rehearsal? Did I turn, even briefly, to God is and abide? If the picture still flaunted itself, yet you stayed 2 degrees quieter than last week, that is progress. Real, durable, cumulative. Let us make this practical. Set a weekly rhythm. Choose one principle for the week, only one. For example, there is only one presence and one power. Or, God is the life of me. In the morning, enter the closet and sit 5, 10, 15 minutes with that single light until it is not words but atmosphere. Midday, reopen the door for a minute or two. No pleading, just recognition. In the evening, return again. Through the day, study a single paragraph or a verse that states your principle. Be still and know that I am God. The Lord is my shepherd. And carry one line as your watchword. Then, live from it practically. When the impulse to check or explain rises, answer with the week's principle. When traffic, email, or household clamor would snatch your poise, do not argue with them. Stand inside your sentence. God is. God is. God is. At week's end, do not audit symptoms. Audit peace. Where did I keep my seat? Where did I step out? And how quickly did I step back? This is how harmony becomes countable, not by managing effects, but by establishing cause at the center of consciousness. Day by day, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. The visiting peace becomes the resident presence, until you discover that emergencies no longer summon your practice. Your practice dissolves the category of emergency. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. The world will argue. Oh yes, it will. It will send you its statistics, its timelines, its neighbors' stories, and the old habit will whisper, "See, it's back." Please remember this point. What you call relapse is not power returning. It is a picture revisiting your doorstep to see if you will sign for the package. The temptation to react is the core test. It comes not to conquer, but to request your consent again. Actually, there is no relationship between the oscillations of sense and the continuity of being. They are entirely separate and distinct. Peace is continuous. Appearances are intermittent. Which will you enthrone? Now then, do not dramatize this moment. Do not sermonize to yourself about losing ground. Oh, no, no, no. There is no ground to lose in God. If God is omnipresent, where can a power exist to oppose him? Answer it within yourself. Nowhere. If God is life, what is death claiming? Nothing. If spirit is the only law, where is the statute that can bind you? There is none. Close the argument with these questions. Let them shut the courtroom door. The world will argue. The disciple abides. Here is your protocol. In the instant the old sensation, fear, or report knocks, refuse the headline. Do not condemn yourself, please remember that. Self-condemnation is vanity in reverse. It keeps you at the center. Simply return. Return to what? To God is. Again and again, until the fear has no host. God is. God is. God is. Not as a charm to move matter, but as recognition of the only presence on the field. Relax into that fact. Breathe if you must, but more than breath, yield attention. Let the picture pass like a cloud across a sky that does not move. Follow this. You are not a body trying to get spiritual help. You are a spiritual being witnessing a false report, attempting to stage a drama on your lawn. Do not audition. Do not offer it a chair. Stand as the I that am, in whom and as whom life is already whole. My kingdom is not of this world. Therefore, the shifts of this world cannot confer or remove your life. One must make a choice of one or the other. Either be the patient of appearances or the witness of spirit. Choose and keep choosing, quietly. You say, but it speaks loudly. Let it speak. The volume of a radio in a distant room does not make it your program. The symptom may speak, but it does not govern. Mark your freedom here. You are free when the voice speaks and you do not get up to follow it. You are free when peace stays while pictures change. Please remember, progress is not first the silence of the symptom. Progress is the silence of fear. And when it seems to return on the hour, do not count the hours. Count the returns. Each return to God is shortens the life of the habit, because attention is the breath of the shadow, and you are withdrawing the breath. Stay simple. Stay secret. Stay steady. The world will argue. Let it. The disciple abides. Peace first. And abiding in that peace, harmony appears in its own order, again and again, until even the category of relapse loses its meaning in the light of unbroken presence. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We have said many words, but they all resolve into a single sending. God is, and that is enough to know. God is, that's all. Please remember this point. When you flinch, you crown the symptom. When you refuse to react, you are not denying a picture. You are denying it authority. And that is recognition of a higher fact. Oh, no, no, no. This is not stoicism. This is sanctuary. Actually, there is no relationship between the flutter of appearance and the fact of being. They are entirely separate and distinct. One must make a choice of one or the other. We choose the one now. So let us end in communion. Be still. Let the shoulders release their history. Let the jaw unhook its argument. Let the hands grow quiet. Let the breath take itself. Drop the timetable, tomorrow's test, next month's worry, last year's verdict. Let them fall like old garments at your feet. We are not preparing a case. We are consenting to presence. Be still and know that I am God. Do nothing with the picture. Do not ask it to behave. Let it pass, if it will pass, across the sky of awareness that does not move. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. My peace, my peace. Feel for nothing more than the soft fact that I am here, within you, as you, without circumference. God is, and that's enough to know. Please remember, peace is the primary healing. Not the signal that the world has conformed to your wish, but the sign that you are abiding where law is already fulfilled. Do not seek proof. Proof belongs to the realm that demanded reaction in the first place. Oh, no, no, no. We reverse it. Peace first, then the outer follows in its own order, by the natural sequence of spirit realized, not by force, not by management, not by bargaining with effects. Rest here. Rest so simply that even the wish to check dissolves. Rest until the center is quiet and the world is free to be a world, while you abide as I. Now then, rise into your day with this single watchword in your heart. God is. When the knock comes, do not turn the knob. When the world argues, do not attend the debate. Keep it simple. Keep it secret. Keep it single. Pay no tribute to the shadow, pay remembrance to the light. And as you go, let peace be the proof. Let peace be the evidence you count. And as you abide in it, watch how, again and again, without trumpet and without strain, harmony appears openly, because the Father has seen in secret. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Thank you. Thank you.